Hi, I'm Dan Ludwig, and today we're going to be talking about bleeding gums. So I'm going to tell you a personal story of mine. So I've had bleeding gums pretty much my entire life, and I didn't really take great care of my oral health. And I thought, bleeding gums, that's just what happens when you brush your teeth, when you floss, you just bleed, and that's just, how life is. And eventually, as I got older, I went to the dentist and I kind of got a scare about cavities and just overall oral health. And so it started to make me want to take more control in my life about my oral health. And so I started brushing more often. And so I was brushing twice a day, once in the morning and once at night. And this helped to take down the inflammation in my gums, but it didn't help my bleeding gums. And I was also able to prevent a lot of cavities from happening just from brushing. And later on down the road, I started bleeding a lot. And eventually I started flossing, but then it got to a point that I kind of was like in and out with it because I would do it late at night and I would be tired, so I'd say, oh, I'm not going to brush tonight or I'm not going to floss tonight. And so it got to a point where one day I was eating food and I just started bleeding. I was bleeding, I guess, just from chewing on the food. And this is when I said, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I have to figure out how to get my oral health under control. And so I started to look things up online, about bleeding gums. And a big thing that came up was flossing. And so after that, I started to floss twice a day. I was flossing once in the morning after breakfast and once at night before going to bed. So that's brushing twice a day and flossing twice a day. And this made a huge improvement. My gums started to heal and actually stopped bleeding. I was doing also coconut oil pulling and also doing a rinse of salt water. So the salt, I was using Himalayan sea salt, and this mineralizes, gives your mouth minerals, which are healthy for the gums. And the oil, the coconut oil, pulls the toxins out of your gums. And this was in addition to me brushing and flossing. And so in the mornings, I would brush, floss, do the coconut oil pulling, and the rinse wash of the salt. And every time I did this, my mouth felt like I just came out of the dentist's office. Even though I didn't, I just did this myself. It was like a 20-minute procedure, and my mouth felt amazing. Everything felt smooth and didn't feel like there was any hard plaque on my mouth. So it was great. And after doing this for just a few days, I stopped bleeding. My gums officially stopped bleeding after years and years of them constantly bleeding. So what helped me for my gums to stop bleeding and to get my oral health under control is to brush twice a day and to floss twice a day. Now, one thing on flossing is that there's different kinds of floss. And I don't just mean the picks versus the string floss. Now, personally, I recommend doing the pick flosses because you can really get in every single tooth and you don't have to try to maneuver your hands in different ways to try to get in all the different places in your mouth. And it's just very easy, it's very quick, and it just saves a lot of the mess and all the crazy work with the floss. Now, there's a difference in thickness between flosses. So I was using a 99-cent floss, and it's a very, very thin type of floss. And so what it was doing is even though, you know, it cleans your mouth and it gets the plaque out of places that a toothbrush can't get to, it was cutting me, and I would still bleed. So even though it was helpful and overall it was helped me to bleed less, it was cutting me because it was just a cheap piece of plastic. And then my friend showed me a better floss. There was the Glide flosses, and they're much thicker, and they just slide. They like literally glide through your teeth and your gums, and it wasn't cutting me at all. So from switching to floss and a better quality floss, it stopped my gums from being cut, and it completely stopped them from bleeding again. I hope this video helps, and share it with your friends, to anyone who has bleeding gums or wants to take more control of their oral health but is having a hard time. Share this video with them, and hopefully this will help them, and subscribe for more videos.